Imagine a world with no up, only left, right, forward, and back, no height at all. Every creature is a flat shape sliding across an infinite plane, unable to conceive of anything above or below them. This is Flatland, the most famous thought experiment ever written about dimensions. In episode 1, we climb toward the fourth dimension. This episode steps down a rung into a two-dimensional universe to show why higher dimensions are so hard to see. Edwin Abbott's 1884 novella still hits like a revelation. No heavy math, just clear analogies and motion you can follow. Let's dive in. Quick callback. In the fourth dimension video, we asked what it would mean to move perpendicular to every direction you know. Flatland answers that question from the inside. If you lived in only two dimensions, the third dimension wouldn't look like a direction. It would look like magic. Edwin Abbott was a Victorian schoolmaster, not a physicist. He wrote Flatland as satire, mocking rigid social hierarchies, and as geometry lesson. The story follows a square, a respectable polygon in a rigid 2D society where the number of your sides determines your rank. In Flatland, men are polygons, triangles, squares, pentagons, hexagons. Women are straight lines, required to announce their approach with a peace cry because a line is nearly invisible until you're on top of her. Motion is sliding along the plane. There is no concept of above or below, only along. Here's the crucial part. A Flatlander does not see shapes the way you do. They see only one-dimensional edges, line segments. A square approaching another square appears as a line segment that grows and shrinks from within the plane. Depth is unknowable. Shape is inferred from brightness, fog, and motion over time. One day, a sphere visits a square. To Flatland, the sphere is a circle that can change size, a point that swells into a wide ring and vanishes again. The sphere lifts a square out of the plane. For the first time, Square sees his world from above. Roofs, interiors, streets, all visible at once. The third dimension is not abstract, it is sight. The sphere tries to explain a third axis, up, down, perpendicular to the plane. Square's mind rebels. He has spent a lifetime in two dimensions. Up is not a word with meaning. Only after being lifted does he understand, and even then, he cannot draw what he saw for anyone still stuck in the plane. Square returns and tries to preach the gospel of three dimensions to the Flatland Council. They call it heresy. He is arrested. The tragedy is perfect. The messenger who has seen more cannot make the unseen visible to those who haven't been lifted. Sound familiar? This is the bridge to episode 1. We are a square. We live in three spatial dimensions and struggle to picture a fourth perpendicular to all of them. A 4D being looking at our world might see inside locked rooms through our bodies, the way Sphere saw Flatland. The limitation isn't intelligence, it's embedding. Every dimension adds a degree of freedom the lower world cannot point at. A line creature knows only forward and back. A plane creature adds left and right. We add up and down. Each level can simulate the lower one as a cross-section, a slice, but cannot feel the direction that escapes the slice. Watch a sphere pass through a plane. To Flatlanders it is a dot, then a growing circle, then a shrinking circle, then gone. No sphere, just changing rings. That is how higher dimensions often appear to lower ones, not as a new object, but as impossible morphing shadows. Abbott's satire still stings. Flatland's social rules mirror our own blindness, punishing anyone who claims there is more than the official number of dimensions. The geometry lesson survives because it is personal. You feel Square's frustration. You feel the lift. Modern physics uses Flatland constantly. String theory imagines extra dimensions curled too small to notice. Holographic principles suggest our 3D world might encode information on a 2D boundary. Flatland isn't quaint history. It's a template for asking what we might be missing. So the ladder reads, 1 dimension is length, 2 adds width, 3 adds depth, 4 adds a spatial direction we cannot point to, the tesseract from episode 1. Flatland shows why each rung is invisible from the rung below. You cannot argue someone into seeing up. You can only lift them or build the analogy until the plane clicks. What would you see if a fourth-dimensional sphere passed through our space? Probably not a glowing tesseract sitting still. More likely, Shapes that appear, swell, twist, and vanish, violating rules we thought were physics. The honest answer is we are still square early in the sermon. Flatland is the emotional proof that dimension isn't trivia, it's perspective. Once you've been lifted out of the plane, you can never unsee the trick. The universe may have more rooms than our senses furnish. If this changed how you picture the dimension ladder, subscribe to Cosmic Ladder. We'll keep climbing the next rung together. Thanks for watching.